trying to find the best way to sit. I think I found a method with Amir while we were doing the class. Let's experiment and see if it works.
Hi everybody online. Okay, I gotta fix that angle. That's too high. We're just getting set up here. People are coming in, so hang tight. I'll see you all in a minute. All right. Oh, that looks good. That looks comfortable.
So, yeah, it's like there's a block.
Mm-hmm. Under the bolster.
Yeah, so it kind of forces.
It gives you an angle.
Yeah, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Welcome if you're joining online. Hello. A couple of people are still wandering in, so we will get started in a couple of minutes. Marla, you're in, yay! Yay, you made it. So happy. Hi, Dina. Thanks for joining. Dina, what about this angle? I don't know about it. It's a trade-off between having the camera straight on and the light reflected in my glasses. You know. Modern troubles. Modern choices. Gonna scooch in a little closer just to read. Yes. Okay. Melissa, maybe after like 5 or so minutes, just close the door so there's just like a, you know, yeah, a smidge, a sliver, a titch, a touch of an opening. And let's see, how's our lighting? Is that better? I don't know, maybe that's too...
I prefer it brighter,
Hi, Victoria. Oh, it's okay. You're not here in person, but you're still here, and I'm thrilled. Thrilled to see. Thanks for chatting in. All right, everybody. Welcome. Welcome. I'm Annie Moyer from Sun and Moon Yoga Studio. This is our weekly meditation and Dharma talk. And as I speak, it is Wednesday evening, September 22nd. It is the fall equinox. And we're going to start with just some simple, quiet attention to the body and the breath. So as we get settled, just wherever you are, if you're seated, rock a little bit from side to side. So you feel that the sitting bones underneath you get good purchase on your seat, whether it's the ground or a cushion or a chair. I am taking care of myself a little bit today because I tweaked my knee, so I'm going to grab a block to put under my knee. So take care of yourself. Find out what you need to be comfortable. You're welcome to lie down. You're welcome to curl up in the fetal position. If that's what you need, that's what you need. So attend to yourself. And that's the first and arguably the most important step in setting ourselves up for a mindfulness practice, is to attend to the self, which brings the mind into focus, into the moment, and reconciles it with what's possible to change and with what isn't possible to change. Right? So like, for example, I can't change the fact that my knee is bothering me today, but I can change how I sit with that. I also can't change the fact that I forgot my AirPods this evening, and so I don't have any good sound to connect to my phone, so I hope those of you who are watching on YouTube can hear me okay. And if you can't, I apologize. Crank up your volume. So, tuning in, settling into a mindful state of attention to what's real and necessary in this moment. To alert oneself to the need to adjust or shift, and to reconcile oneself to the things that aren't possible to change right now. If you're seated upright, take some time to notice the spine lengthening from your rooted ground up through the crown of your head. To assume a vertical posture that aligns with some sense of rising energy, some alive presence that is springing up from the grounding action of gravity. We are a rebound from the earth. In every moment that we choose to sit up, to stand up, to take action in the world. And we also have wide latitude. We have this upper carriage of the collarbones, the chest, the shoulder blades, the arms that allow us to take up purposeful space. We have the widening aspect of the rib cage, with every inhale expanding circumferentially. We have the broad reach of the hips and pelvis to assert our right and our privilege and the gift of us being here. So we are upright, long and tall, and we are wide, spacious, and present. Take some breaths. Notice where you might experience latitude within your form and longitude. And notice too if your breath and your attention to it can heighten or emphasize that presence. And feel the rising and falling nature of the breath. As it mirrors in its microcosmic way the expansion and contraction of the entire universe. Notice your mind's clinging tendency to attach itself to the laundry list that's entitled Things That Are Bothering Me. Give those things, give that list wide latitude and a lot of longitudinal space. Give it all room to coexist with your ability to simply be in this moment. As you notice the mind continue its wandering nature, return again and again to the breath. Just another minute or so. Continuing to note the nature of the mind and the potential to make space for all of the thoughts that are not relevant to this particular moment here and now. your eyes are closed now, just delicately flutter them open, and if they've been open, just delicately raise your vision and return your awareness to the physical space around you. And we'll chat a little bit about the concept of impermanence. That's the topic for this evening, and it was inspired by our visit the other night to the restaurant that's just around the corner in our little shopping strip that's been here almost as long as we've been here, many, 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 many years. And the owner has recently announced that he's closing as a result of the pandemic, shifting his business to a point where it's untenable. And very sad to lose him as a business neighbor and a friend in our strip, in our little family of small commercial, all local independent enterprises. And also just really sad to lose some opportunity for some absolutely delicious meals right there around the corner after class. And here's the thing. During most of the pandemic, business was not good for him. Not very many people were coming. Not very many people were ordering takeout. Our parking lot situation does not lend itself to pleasant outdoor dining, and so that wasn't really an option. And, you know, things dwindled. And what do you know? As soon as he announced his closing at the end of this month, it has been a packed house every single night. And I am just as guilty as everyone else in the community, you know, for not supporting as often as we could have during the pandemic. And so, of course, you know, we go in for our last dinner, and it's beautiful and delicious and lovely, and everyone knows each other in there, and we're all talking about how sad we are to see them go. And you know, it's just like the great ancient sage Joni Mitchell says, "Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone?" And this is the nature of impermanence. Why do we forget that things are not going to last forever? That's the big question. And the follow-up question to that is, how can we help ourselves and each other remember this truth? That the things that are here and present right now are not to be taken for granted, because we know they're not going to last. So after dinner, we go home, take the dog for his evening walk, and I stood in absolute reverence of the huge, full harvest moon. And I thought, hello, Mr. Moon, you, sir, are the perfect reminder of impermanence, because every single day/night, you're different. And I think that that's part of why so often those of us who love to gaze up at the universe are in such awe of not just the full moon, but the crescent moon and the half moon and all the different phases of the waning moon and the, what's the word for the moon that is waxing? Yes, thank you. Is that right? Sounds right. Right, so in awe of this daily, nightly reminder that nothing is going to last. And we revel at the full moon, knowing that it's only coming around every 28 days. It's especially in the fall, a really visible reminder of the changing nature of things. You know, when like the easy living days of summer have come to an end, and activities and programs and school, if you're in that realm, are starting to ramp up, and nature starts to remind us, giving us little hints in the early fall about how the plants are going to die back to the ground, the leaves are going to change, and then they're going to fall. And I looked up the reason that the harvest moon is named as it is, and why it seems so especially bright and huge at this time of year. So it has to do with the angle of the moon's orbit relative to the Earth is the smallest angle in the fall. And so the moon, therefore, rises really quickly, quicker than ever in any other time of the year, right after sunset. And this was seen as an assistance to the farmers harvesting their late summer crops, to have that extra little bit of light early in the evening to finish up whatever they needed to do, right? And so with this very present reminder, we also realize that the reason for the moon's appearance to be always changing, because we know it actually is not changing inside, it's just in size, it's just the way it looks to us. Whereas the moon appears to be changing because it is revolving around us. It is in our orbit, but yet the sun appears to be the same day after day after day after day after lifetime, because we are orbiting around it. And the other reminders of why the moon is such our best friend in terms of remembering about the constant nature of change, not just because it has its different phases every night, but because of its pull on the tides. So all you have to do is go to any beach, any seashore, any place where water is shifting and tides are visible. And you will see, and it doesn't take 24 hours to notice the change. It takes 2 seconds to see the waves cresting and arriving on shore and then being pulled back. So, and this is all because of the moon's pull. Again, a constant reminder from nature that nothing stays the same. Not even the sun, although its appearance to us looks like it's always big and bright and steady. Yogic lore and philosophy also notes the difference between the sun and the moon. And what we learn from reading some of these ancient intuitive musings on sun and moon is that the original yogis believed and intuited that every human being has both elements of sun and moon, and what they associated as masculine and feminine. They were, by the way, way ahead of the game in terms of understanding about non-binary nature of human beings. Yogic philosophy is quite gender neutral because of the belief that every human being held in its aspect, in our aspect, both masculine and feminine. And they attributed the masculine aspects of us to the sun in terms of its constant presence and an outward visible form, and the moon as the feminine because it's more inward and it's where activity is happening is darker and hidden, and the cyclical nature of a body that menstruates, right? And so, but every human being holds both aspects. And as a result, exactly for this reason is why we have to grapple with the dichotomy of constancy and change. Sameness and difference, seen and unseen. Because it's easier to work with the things you know And once you get in a habit, it's easier to maintain that habit, right? That those are the laws of inertia, really. And physics, a thing in motion will stay in motion. A thing that is what it is easier to deal with when you know and can count on it being the same. But we don't know that, and we can't count on that ever, ever, ever. Contrary to common perception and belief, I will vouch today that you can find some good inspiration on social media. I was introduced today by my friend and one of our teachers here, Allison, to a couple of illustrators on Instagram. And one of them has come up with the persona of William's wordsworm. And William's wordsworm is a worm. He is a wise worm. And in today's illustration, William Wordsworm met a leaf that was hanging from a tree. And William was so happy to see this leaf. And then the leaf fell to the ground, and William fell in love with this leaf. But then a bug approached William Wordsworm's leaf. And William Wordsworm became very jealous and shocked and surprised that somebody else might lay claim to this leaf. And to fulfill his worst nightmare coming true, the bug trotted off with this leaf. And so William Wordsworm's feelings turned to grief. However, soon enough, guess what happened? Another leaf appeared, and William Wordsworm became experiencing of the feeling of relief. He was literally reliefed. And, he will carry on just as we all will. We will lose things, and then we will gain things. And on and on and on with this cycle of impermanence. There's another meme that says, that shows a really angry person's face that says, "What do you mean nothing is permanent?" That's got to be some Buddhist conspiracy theory. Also, a common Buddhist thing to say is that we will never step in the same river twice because of the nature of the flowing water. And also intuited by the yogis was that the flowing breath was reminiscent of this flowing water in a river into which we will never step twice in the same way. And so let's try another sit together for a period of time, just noticing the breath as if it is a flowing river through the banks of our physical form. And in every way, this river of the breath is bringing life to us and releasing what is no longer necessary away from us. It is oxygen arriving into the bloodstream, and it is carbon dioxide doing its critical work of releasing, of disentangling the oxygen from its little hemoglobin cells and delivering it into all of our tissues and our organs, and then the carbon dioxide leaving us back into the universe to feed the trees. Over and over and over. And so just like we can never step into the same river twice, we ourselves are never the same river bed twice, ever. And so let's take some time now to watch this arrival and departure of breath. Imagine yourself as a wide, welcoming riverbank. And know that inside, we hold all of the pebbles and stones and rocks and twigs that have fallen inside. All of our experiences of being human. offering opportunities for the breath to wend its way through us. And yes, there will be large boulders that will feel like obstacles, and yes, there will be rapids and waterfalls. There will be passengers on boats that make their way through that we may or may not choose to welcome, but it will never be the same twice. So we'll sit with this for another approximately 12 minutes. Noting your mind's tendency to wander away from the river, and be willing to begin again at the river's edge, to jump in the stream of your ever-present breath, your ever-present opportunity for awareness. If your body begins to feel uncomfortable or to resist your current position, change it, because everything changes anyway. If you feel like the breath needs a little extra oomph, begin to deepen the inhale or lengthen the exhale. And if that feels like a struggle, then let the breath be soft, shallow, and natural. Your diaphragm is still working. The river is still flowing. Notice the mind's wandering nature. And return. Begin again, following the breath. Stay in the river. Once in a while, you can play with the rhythm, the cadence, the depth of your breath. You can add a little dimension or alter the relationship of inhale to exhale. Particularly antsy, wandering mind will be grateful for something to hang on to. minute or two. Sometimes when you know the sit is almost complete is the juiciest time. So we really tend to put our all into those last moments. Enjoy that. Finish the next exhale and gently bring attention back to the space around you and the moment, this moment in your body and mind. So there is an upside to impermanence. Thich Nhat Hanh says, thanks to impermanence, everything is possible. When we know that things will change, then we have this hopeful state that possibly they could change for the better. And so sometimes change is welcome, especially in rough times and uncertainty where there's reason for fear, or when there's a resolution of a long journey that's been had, or the start of a longed-for journey. So these are moments to really treasure the truth of change. So I have 2 kids in college, and change is part of this cycle. And it's really great when they come home, and we love having them around, and we love having their friends around, and the house is really lively, and it's exciting, and we learn so much from them, and we get to feel young again in certain ways, right? And it's also great when they leave. We enjoy the quiet that happens afterwards. And we enjoy so much seeing them, go off, be off and running with their young lives and making their way in the world by themselves. And we get those vicarious thrills that way too. And it's a challenge for the whole family to adjust and then readjust. Every vacation, every change in semester, every phase of a pandemic, always a new adjustment. And that change can be treasured and valuable and also hard. So there's bittersweet elements to these cycles of life. Let's do a little thought experiment here. Think of a time when there was a big change in your own life or that of your family, friends, loved ones that was bittersweet. So something that had elements of joy and grief all rolled into one. And hold that moment for a brief time as you start to pair your breath with the dichotomy of it. So you might imagine inhaling the loveliness of it and exhaling the grief of it. And we'll do this for another little bit of time as you sit with the possibility of both the loveliness and the grief. So we are making room for both as they arise and as they fall away, because we know that all of it will arise and fall away. Inhaling the loveliness and exhaling the grief. Knowing that a little bit of each may very likely linger in your cells, in your memory, in your physical form. And knowing that there's room for all of it, including the acceptance, the reconciliation to the truth of it all. And that makes up the fabric of our very beings, that there's room for all of that inside at all times. Inhaling the loveliness, exhaling the grief, acknowledging that there is space inside for the residue of each and all of our very human experiences. Once again, bring your gentle awareness back to your surroundings and the reality of feeling present here in the room, wherever you are in your rooms. I'm going to share a couple of verses from another sacred ancient text from the 1970s. From a sacred ancient sage named David Bowie. This sacred ancient text is called Changes. And one of the verses is, "Still don't know what I was waiting for, and my time was running wild, a million dead-end streets, and every time I thought I had it made, it seemed the taste was not so sweet." He goes on, "I watch the ripples change their size, but never leave the stream of warm impermanence. And so the days float through my eyes, but still the days seem the same." So there's this play between stability, the days seem the same, and change. I know that they're floating through this warm stream of impermanence that is my own body, that is my own life. And just like the sun that seems to stay the same, and the moon that is this constant stream of change, here we are, living these unpredictable days. And finally, he says, "These children that you spit on as they try to change their worlds are immune to your consultations because they're quite aware of what they're going through." I think of the young adult author, the wonderful, fabulous Jason Reynolds, who said in an interview recently that if your kids are not challenging the way you think of things and the way you're seeing the world, then they're not doing their job. And so as we watch the next generation rise up and change their own minds about things, we can watch and see, yes, the things that we believed were true aren't necessarily wrong, but they are evolving, just like all things are evolving anyway. And finally, there's the cartoon of the two cats that are sitting dressed in their royal meditation robes, and they're gazing at their kitty litter. And they say, "It is true, we make our art in the sand, and then it is wiped clean to reflect the truth of impermanence of all things." And so let's just take a few more minutes of quiet space together before we close out. And just because things are always changing and we're highlighting this truth of impermanent humanity and existence, it doesn't mean we can't treasure what's real and true right now. And I believe that the best way to do that is to zero in on each moment as it comes and fully enjoy it. Gaze at the moon, savor the meal, be quiet and listen to a friend, and take in all of what's being shared at that time. If you're a parent, listen to your kids without any necessary response, and admire and revel in the way they're changing and modeling this evolution for us all the time. Let's take some quiet breaths together. Let's track 3 more breaths all the way in, the rising tide, and all the way back out. And 1 more. And then just pause for a moment. If you'd like to join your hands together in front of your heart and silently repeat, may all beings be happy. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And may all beings be at peace. I thank you so much for being here. Thank you all for joining in the room and otherwise. And I hope to see you soon. Take good care, everybody.